Oh my god, welcome back to part 2 of Daily 729. It's better gamer time. Thus far we have looked at the start of this strategy, which emphasizes getting up 5 barracks fast and this factory before the 3rd command center, long before. This is a little bit of improv. You could potentially have thrown down a command center early. Or excuse me, not early, earlier. We will see that later on in the show. This is the important convergence point that you want to converge upon. 7 structures pumping stuff out. Do not queue, for God's sake. It is better to have an idle barracks than a barracks with 2 things queued up on it. Oh my god, don't do it! That's right, Nathanius, what is up? Watching right now. I had one of those brain combinations where I wanted to say hello or holla. Instead I said hello. But yeah, Nathanius also casted this event alongside. And it was awesome. So we see one of the things that is good against any aggressive play for Protoss is a War Prism. I don't care when it's happening, early game, late game, mid game. It's good to do a counterattacking War Prism. You'll hit the Terran where they're weak. But what's nice with all these barracks is you can just rally in. And we will see Cure do this, where he will rally at his ramp or in his main, defray the aggression, and then move back out, but still leave everything rallied up into his main base. This Oracle is the biggest Oracle hole ever. And for anyone out there, I will stress oh so many times, Cure is having a very bumpy road here. This is not a build order that demands absolute perfection. It is rather this conceptual framework arriving at this mixture before going out and getting another base. God, this Oracle is amazing in this game. So, one of the things that this opens up as an opportunity that you will see a lot is you don't have to do a big tech switch transition. Typically, starting around now, a Terran player would want a 2nd starport to deal with Colossus, a Ghost Academy to deal with Scary Templar. Well, if you've been beating the crap out of your opponent, he's going to be low on Colossus, low on Templar, low on units. So you can just go bio with medevacs. You don't need Vikings. You don't need Ghosts. You can continue to maintain your presence here. This is hilarious, this Archon. Will he be slain by SCVs? No. Regardless, we see the same sorts of techniques. Tiny chokes are brilliant for really aggressive mid-games. Normally we think of tiny chokes as hell, but the force fields that keep everything out, same reason why it's going to be working well versus the Zealots. It's packed tight, nicely together. Look up at this upgrades, or excuse me, at the production for me. Just one. All ground units getting churned out. If you are low on gas, just build Marines and wait till you have enough for medevacs. Stuff just getting churned out. Look at this disparity in the supply count. Storms being eaten. Medevac count is through the roof, man. And look at the unit count. Look at the number of Zealots. Very tiny. This is grand. This is just marvelous to watch. And I think Kier could have won here. I think he just backfired a couple of mine shots and killed his own stuff. You know, happens. Also, this is cute. Imagine if these mines were at the front line. You know what I'm saying? Catch what I'm saying? Interestingly, for a Protoss, the correct play is neither Colossus nor Templar in this position. Yeah, excuse me, it's Templar's fine. But trying to rely too heavily on Storm is really dangerous, and transitioning to Colossus is too dangerous. I think Immortals are a brilliant choice. But what's so cool is that the mines allow you to kite. One of the benefits of having a Marauder Tech army is that you have that extra range boost. And then here's where everything kind of dies. I think Cure's being a smidge over-aggressive. He used to be up at the whopping 7 medevac count, now down to 4. But no big deal. SCV count, not huge. Some SCV production was lightly reduced. I don't want to say cut so much. But I mean, this is glorious. Almost impossible for Protoss to have a third, because I am now on the everyone view. So although Cure is still one expansion ahead of Protoss, which is what many Terrans would have done anyways at this point in time, Terran doesn't have to be spending money on the Starport or the Ghost Academy. Rarely has to happen at this point. Protoss is likely getting very low in the main. Likely maybe about half, two-thirds done here. Terran can now begin to expand out a little more aggressively. But Terran is a little low here. But it's cool. It's cool. You don't need huge amounts of cash anymore. You're not doing a really expensive Ghost Medevac Marine Marauder Viking army. And again, I will stress how this is really fun to do. You can micro and you don't have to look back at your home base. Brilliant defense here. And look at this transition. Again, no Vikings, no Ghost Academy, more barracks. More barracks. Why? More mobility. Why? So we can get our 4th expansion up more easily. Why? So we're really kicking his ass. This was a little bit of a mishap. The Marine didn't go there. Please scout your expansions. It's bad for your health. 99.9% of players are not trap, so they will be dead by now. Here's something that I think highlights a critical piece to what we have seen thus far. This medevac drop is the first Marine Marauder attempt at a medevac drop in the game. There has been nothing else going into the game. It has been at the front or a single mine drop at the back against a Zealot High Templar. Just hit the front, man. Hit the damn front, man. And you might be saying, what do I do against Colossus? Don't worry. We'll be watching that on this episode as well. Ghost Academy. Why, Sean? I thought you said that you didn't need to get Ghost Academy. Not fast, but I didn't say ghosts were bad, stupid. I've just got needlessly confrontational all of a sudden. Yeah, the Ghost Academy can come long down the line, but we're delaying until 20 minutes to get our first late-game structure, a Ghost Academy. We haven't even begun a 2nd starport. We have a 4th command center started before our Ghost Academy is started. This was, I mean, if you don't pay attention to your units and they get stormed, you will get hurt. Actually, if you ask that question, you're not stupid. That's the exactly correct question. If you ask that question, it means you're paying attention. There's some guy who's not paying attention who heard that and was like, what was the question? I didn't hear it. Well, good. At least I'm not stupid. Stupid. Little drops at the back are okay. I'm always a little leery to spread out too much against a Templaring player because it's just so effective to hit the front. But I mean, medevac drops at the back are rarely in error if both players are low econ. So from here on out, I mean, you got to give huge amounts of respect to Trap and Trap's ability to storm perfectly, to counter harass, to oracle harass. And this arc that we're seeing, it's easy to look at this and to talk about mistakes being made, about Protoss being imbalanced. I know how easy that is to do. But one of the whole framings that we did at the start of this game is that Protoss are weak from 10 to 15 and tend to be stronger later on when they have more upgrades, more units, more high-tech things like Templar. So we saw Cure almost win in that 10 to 15 period. Almost crush through, decimate. And here, this is sort of an expected snapback. Protosses should be able to do some kind of snapback at this point. But what is nice is that Cure has now gotten the chance to get up a 4th. Cure has gotten the chance to get these upgrades going, to get his 8 barracks going, and is roughly in a similar spot to where a normal late-game Terran player would want to be. Except Cure has been doing so much bashing down on his enemy that it's really hard for Trap to have transitioned to Colossus. The more aggressive you are, and I don't just mean in terms of are you attacking, the most aggressive move in this game happened back home. These two barracks were the biggest aggressive move. If you're making these aggressive moves, you will punish anyone that tries to be light on the defense, which we will see Cure does multiple times to Trap more easily in the other games. So I'm actually going to be relatively speedy here. We're seeing the same sort of rules apply against a Zealot Templar-based army. You can just apply pressure to the front. We see important rules like wait until your damn upgrades are done before engaging. That's good. We learned that Storms are a good unit. That's an important unit to recall. The Storm unit. We know Ghosts are pretty nifty when it comes to taking down Templar, but my god, this factory has produced so many mines. So freaking many mines. So many mines, even! So, we're going to see Colossus in a moment, and I will like to again guide your eyes up to this top production tab. We're going to see this in the game 2 that we will take a look at. Look, Colossus. Look at it. Colossus, look at production. Do you see Vikings? Not really. We see the preparations for Vikings. We don't see a second starport. Because right now, there's one Colossus, and the Colossus count is, oh, it's 2. And the other one is, oh, is a little bit behind. Okay, 2 Colossus. This isn't like your usual 8 Colossusing player, and you don't need Vikings if the Colossus count is low. You can do this thing. You heard me say micro-wise, Cure likes to do leads with small amounts of units. Sometimes it's a poaching group move to the front, but this medevac just gets dropped forward on top of the Colossus. Feast your eyes on production. Don't see any Vikings getting produced there. Just really good micro. I think there's been 2 Vikings made this game. This game actually continues for a little bit longer, but I don't think there's anything more significant to say because I think Cure is in a much better position because this is gone, and this is gone. This is pretty much all Protoss has, and he's desperately starting another expansion. But god dang, Trap is so good. Okay. We see Vikings finally starting to get made. They're not in huge numbers. You see drops going down. Drops are always going to be effective if both players are a little bit low econ. That's great. I really want to slam through this game because, I mean, at this point, this is just pretty typical Terran vs. Protoss late game, which does deserve respectful analysis, but I just am not going to do it on this show. Drops are always good if you're relatively low econ. Oh, another sort of light consequence. I do not want you to overthink this. If you are really aggressive, your opponents will tend to be low in army size, or as we call it, low econ. They will have a relatively tiny army and relatively few expansions. And what's nice is that at like the 30-minute mark, we have a tiny army that actually has to defend 4 bases on the minimap. Protoss right now is at 136 supply and would generally only be needing to defend these 3 bases. And then for bases 4 and 5 and 6, we would see a max Protoss player. But here, again, by virtue of being aggressive, you open up more chances to be drop heavy in the late game. How many Vikings are there? Not like 16 to one-shot things. Just some. Look at how aggressive Cure is. Look at that horse. So my usual inability to beat terse, this game's going a little longer than intended. But per usual, Ghost, Marine, Marauder, etc. does manage to do well against this force. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up a different game with a different opening to highlight a very important notion of a convergence. start, as long as you know where you want to get to, you have a guide. And our guide is the 7 production structure special. 5 barracks, 1 starport, 1 factory, all turning things out. Yeah, look at that horse. Manbon gets the reference. So what we are going to do is type in my email address off camera. We're going to type in my password off camera, which is something that I have done. And then let's open up the next replay, which will then have to close out of StarCraft and go to offline mode. StarCraft is crashing. And we're fine. Okay. So convergence points. We're going to be going to this 7 production structure special. Let's watch a game that we might describe as completely different. We're going to see, for one, Cure opens with a fast Widow Mine drop. It's not that amazing, but still. Second, we're going to see Trap not go Templar. We're going to see him go Colossus. It feels like it should be different. Same 7 production structure special. We're just going to get there a little differently. We're going to do things afterwards a little differently. Okay. I think I overloaded part 1 in this episode. So, I think we're going to have a pretty quick part 3. Pretty quick. There is the Ripa. SCV moves in. Checks everything out in the base. Why SCV Scout and not Reaper Scout? If you get here and you don't see the second pylon, this Reaper is going to go here and here to check for the proxies. Otherwise, everything is pretty much as intended. We see the reactor go down. We see guys not getting pulled out of gas. Why day 9? Well, because it's a different build. Gelator getting slain, getting shot at 2 bullets at a time. 2 shots, 1 kill. The mantra of no unit in the game. Bunker goes down rather early. Why? We only got 1 barracks, so we're not going to be able to overwhelm with Marines, but we got a fast factory coming. I do surmise we will see a rather fast 4 refineries from the Terran player. Fast, not in general, but fast compared to what we typically see. 4 Marines in the front. Great. I think many people have seen this build. If you haven't, it's just a good one. Alright, cool. Starport finishes close to now. Build a refinery with that dude that was on the starport. Look at all these pretty things getting produced. Now, what I want to do is I also want to take a moment to appreciate the little things in life. Unit movement. We're gonna do an aggressive drop. Aggressive drop. Reaper scouting things up. Oh, yes. Reaper managed to scout. This barracks that was on the reactor, once this final Marine had doth poppeth, and the second mine doth poppeth, we have 1 totally full medevacs worth of dudes. We have 1 bunker totally full worth of dudes. Look at this. 2 barracks immediately get donned to the ground. A tech lab quickly comes out. Why? So Cure can immediately get stemmed. Here they come. You know what also comes at the same time? Bunker unloads the Marines, and they move out. To death. Look at these 2 bad boys moving out. Ooh. Back home we see what could be considered typical. 3 refineries. Wonderful. We see the 3 barrack. Starport. Wonderful. This is everything that we would expect a typical Terran to do. And we would also expect, to me, the typical Terran to take a 3rd right around 9. Right around 9 on that minute marker. In terms of rounding out and hitting our convergence points, upgrades are part of that. We see the Mariners moving forward and seizing vision. If there are stalkers up here, great news, this drop's about to win the game. If there's not stalkers over there, great, we're about to secure vision into game. Look at this, Cure just chilling. Lack balls. Now, I will also say, if you struggle to control this medevac, make the game as easy or as hard for yourself as you want. It's good to be daring and to get in that ass sometimes and do a little dropping, but no reason not to retreat. Be so proud of yourself when you retreat. That's so cool.
Add-on complete.
What do you know? Medevacs popping out, Marines so plentiful. But wait a minute. We started starport production, bam! Refinery. Very early. Hey, is this factory gonna... Is he gonna get a reactor? Is that for a barracks? No. It's for slaying time. Drops popping right on in. This, I would typically call like a bad moment. We have in mind, we have a little bit of control here. We know there's no third, but we lost the medevac and we're gonna lose these two dudes. Isn't that bad? Well, look in the main. Right around 9 minutes is generally when we see a Terran player have enough money to get an orbital command. Does Cure get it? No. He does not get a third command center. He just keeps applying pressure. Now here's a question. Why did Cure not attack the front here like he did last game? Because he sees a Robo. He doesn't see Templar, he sees a Robo player. Robo players struggle with drops at the back. And they're pretty content with defense at the front. So, ooh, this factory has probably built this reactor in order to be able to give it to a barracks. Nope. Nah. It's for Widow Mine production. Oh yeah, there's that starport. There he is. So, we see Cure beginning to get aggressive. So, I will tie this back to something I spaketh about earlier. If you are aggressive, you will punish someone who is trying to make a fast transition to Templar, or trying to build one Colossus and then expand. You punish a player who does not have a good spread out set of units. You'll certainly struggle against a big old pack of Blink Stalkers, but that's okay. You just retreat. You don't have to drop. You're trying to set yourself up. And just like clockwork, the drop at the back is coupled with movement at the front. Oh! Oh, yes. Oh, gotta look at all these production structures. I love production structures. SCV's still getting churned out. In the interest of having evenly arranged segments, we will be stopping part 2, and when we come back, we'll close out this game and watch one final one where Cure gets all in and holds it off like it is just not a deal.